Help support our coverage with PureVPN, the fast, secure way to protect your connection at home or on the go. Get exclusive savings now at techpodcast.com/PureVPN.
CES is so it's a brutal.
It is brutal.
It is brutal.
Yeah.
We got to do what we got to do.
You got your maybe you don't get your steps in because you just stand there all day, but I bet you get a few.
I mean, I don't get them in because I work on this and I'm just sitting down like,
yes,
like whatever. But
yes.
But,
so
but
anyway,
this is like Tough Mudder for engineers here.
This is Dave, by the way, and Dave is with FREE-WILi. Am I saying that right?
We call it FREE-WILi.
WILi, okay.
So
well, it's the movie. That's the problem, right? I look at that and I'm like FREE-WILi. So yes, Dave. So you have quite the little contraption. I'm just going to move it right here into the product shot. Hopefully the well, I guess people are seeing it there. I don't know if we're going to get the camera on or not. I have our little place to put it just got moved here. Our little there we go. Okay, very nice. So it's going. I believe it can hear what I'm saying.
It's definitely listening to you.
Wow, how cool is that? So this reminds me kind of like an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi type of device. Am I close?
So what's different about it is, the Raspberry Pi and Arduino, it's like it's lower level.
Okay.
And it's they design it so like people can, use their C compilers or Python and get in the nitty-gritty details and make amazing things.
Okay.
And you can do it relatively cheap as well. But what this is different is we kind of there's a bunch of people that can't do that. There's a bunch of people that are, they're not going to use C. They're not going to get into Python.
Sure.
They love technology, but they don't have that skill. So what we put together is we took kind of all the fun stuff that you could do with Arduino and put it in one box, like sensors and things like that, and then expose the box to a Python API that's very documented, and where that brings the people that don't do Python and it just works with AI.
Okay.
So like I almost feel like I'm back in the 80s. I grew up in the 80s. So, like everybody had a computer and everyone was doing stuff with it. It was real basic stuff, but like people were more like, they were more impressed with little things back then.
Well, I remember writing my first checkbook compiler program in BASIC on an Atom computer, if you remember Atom.
Yes, yeah.
I can't believe you even remember that. I know you're younger than I am,
but I'm a fan of like the 80s and all the retro computing.
Yeah, that was so little cassette drive and the whole bit. It was just amazing. You hooked it up to your television, and I was so proud of that little piece of software I did.
It was just so exciting at that time. Everything was invented in computers in the 80s. But like I feel like AI is kind of that all over again, where a bunch of people that maybe didn't have the technical skills, or they had the dreams but not the skills.
Yep.
So like AI really bridges that gap.
It does. Yep.
So where that comes into this is like AI is cool on a computer, but like we live in the real world, and like all the sensors and things you can do in the real world, you want to combine with AI. So that's where like this box comes in. So like this is a good example. This is if you've ever been at Taylor Swift concert,
or many of them. Yeah,
or many of them.
I'm more Lawrence Welk.
So so like this is something that hundreds of thousands of people have seen, but like people might wonder how they actually work.
Right. They do, because the whole stadium lights up blue and green.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Spells Taylor across the thing. Yeah,
so
it's amazing. Yeah.
So what we can do with this is we can actually explain how it works.
Okay.
Because this technology, we have the actuators or the radios in here to like do this. So like there's all this technology around this that we don't necessarily understand. And then this just makes learning about it fun with AI. Because like AI, there's just you tell it what to do and it does something. There's not a lot of effort you put in, but you get a lot out.
So tell me the process of how it works. All right, so you have, let's just use the sample you have here, right? I'm going to start, or you're going to start from basic. You have this, you have the box, the FREE-WILi box, and I want to program this. I want to be able to put 100 of these out for a small event that I have.
Yes.
And I want to be able to run them. How would I go and do that with these two things?
Well, just a real easy way is we have screens where you can pick the color, and we have a GitHub with how to do that, all that. The examples.
But isn't there
but
a place you have to start? Like, I mean, are you speaking to an AI, or are you typing in, you're vibe coding to that? How is that working?
Basically, our AI is just we documented the Python so well. All the stuff that's out there just works.
I see. So you can
be
just it's like a firmware update.
Yeah. So this has like a sensor in it, like your phone when you move it. So you could be like, well, I want to write an app. That when I turn it left, it turns blue, or whatever.
Okay.
So something like that. It's really the imagination of the people.
It is really interesting. So, are these boxes available now? I mean, can I go and buy one?
Yeah, we sell them. We started out slow because it's just kind of like we're trying to, it's like figuring out what people want.
I love how non-committal you are. Like, yeah, we might have one or two laying around.
Well, we have a regular business that does really well.
Okay.
And this is kind of a side project
I gotcha.
for me as CEO.
Okay.
But where we've really been using them a lot is at hackathons.
Okay.
So there's a cybersecurity aspect, but the hackathon.
So let's back up just a second there. A lot of people that might be watching us have no idea what you're talking about when it says a hackathon. What is a hackathon?
Okay, so at universities, engineering colleges around the nation, probably everywhere too, they get the students in for a weekend, and the students have to build a whole company idea in one weekend. So what they do is they're sponsors that sponsor hardware or AI companies, and they basically sleep. They sleep at the university,
or sometimes
not sleep, or and we sponsor, so we pay that, we feed them, and but like it's what we love about it is like the people the students that are spending their Saturday night like geeking out. Those are the kind of students we want to hire in our business.
Sure.
So
I've been at
that's how we got
into
into
these.
it. Yeah.
And you're right about the lack of sleep. I mean, you show up usually on a Friday evening. You get your team of 3 or 4 people. You come up with the idea on Friday night about what you're going to do for a business, and on Saturday you start cramming it, and you have until a deadline on Sunday usually to submit your idea. So if you get it done by 3 in the afternoon, you're doing great. But a lot of people are still working at 4 in the morning because they know that they have to present this at 10 o'clock. So it is one of those things. But it's amazing. I'm just telling you personally what I have seen come out of these hackathons, these ideas that people bring together.
And
people
that they can build businesses in a weekend.
In a weekend. It's crazy. And I've seen businesses emerge out of hackathons. So it's really interesting.
So where this fits is like if their project idea involves the real world, they don't have to wire a bunch of stuff up. They just use an API, Python or whatever. So it's a real nice fit. For that type of event. Our next event is Sparta Hacks at Michigan State University, and that's at the end of the month. And we actually post on our website a lot of the projects that students have made. Some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's pretty good. What do these run?
$300.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to buy 2.
Great. I mean.
So I would have a.
We'd love to make it cheaper, but we just stuffed everything.
I kind of get that. I almost feel like you could put a hard drive on there and have a little computer going here too.
Well, maybe there'll be another version in the future.
A little bigger CPU, and here we go. Yeah, that's fun. Tell me a little bit about the other things that you do, real quick.
So I'm the CEO of Intrepid Control Systems, and that's our booth here. And we build test equipment for automotive. Okay. So for over 30 years, we've been building test tools for cars. So like at the beginning, it started with like one computer in a car, and now they have 200 computers in the car. And the bandwidth in the car has gone from like 10 kilobits to 10 gigabits. So like 10 gigabits is like, we design circuits in Detroit, not Silicon Valley, So we have all this equipment to design those high-speed circuits, and it mainly is in support of everything you see here, all the self-driving, the sensors. They're high bandwidth sensors, and we do business really with almost every OEM. So all these people are our customers.
Interesting.
So and we do have some overlap into production vehicles as well. So we have a large project with small project with Toyota around hydrogen vehicles. So.
And Dave, when he's mentioned about all of that, is the fact that we are kind of in the automotive hub here at West. Actually, I would say that not central. Where am I at? Yes, north is probably the one where most automotive stuff is at. But we get kind of a little bit.
I mean, this is a lot of self-driving
here.
And that technology started about 8 years ago with the EV boom, and then I just thought it would die off with the EV, but like really, the AI around mobility is just a huge deal.
It is. Yeah, it just accelerates now is what's going on.
And like I drive a Tesla, and it pretty much works.
Isn't that amazing?
So.
And what about the jackets? I need to know about the jackets.
Well, it's Las Vegas, so this is a show. And, we want to get attention with marketing. So that's the idea of the jacket. So everyone in the booth has the jacket. And we've been doing this for a long time, too.
Have you, the jacket part of it you've been doing for a while?
Yeah, these are from Macy's, back when Macy's used to be, you can't buy them anymore.
Well, that's too bad,
so
actually.
It's real high quality.
I just wondered if you had another gig at night around Vegas here or something.
Well, we joke we're going to be the all-new male review.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great.
So.
Do you have to pay people to attend, or?
No, but everyone has different tastes.
That is a valid point.
But
yes, yeah.
I think we're going to do a synchronized dance next year. So we talked about that. So every hour we'll just hit some music and just have some fun.
Little flash mob.
I mean, you're supposed to have fun in the show.
That's what it's all about. That's what it's about. All right, how do we find out more information about the FREE-WILi?
FREE-WILi.
Yeah, I have to work on that.
There's a website, FREE-WILi.com. Okay. It's WILI.com. So
FREE-WILi.
It's really easy to misspell.
Yeah. So FREEWILI.com. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm coming to your booth in a couple hours, so I'm serious. I'm going to buy one from you if I can.
Thank you.
Because I want to take it home and play with it.
Great.
All right. All right, everybody, check them out. Dave, you've been a pleasure.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
you take care of yourself.
The Tech Podcast Network's CES 2026 coverage is executive produced by Adam Barker. Technical director is Ravin Ford. Associate producers are Nancy Ertz, Brandy Jackson, and Beth Price. Our hosts are Marlo Anderson, Don Bain, Scott Ertz, and Serge Velasquez. Graphic design by Vicky Gonzalez. Executive producer emeritus Todd Cochran. Award production is provided by Amrock Fab Lab. Studio equipment is provided by PLUGHITZ Productions. This has been a Tech Podcast Network production, copyright 2026.